Okay, let's move into the webinar now. So, yep. So there we go. So the topic for today is about intelligent automation, basically RPA and beyond, right? As we all know, RPA has been the buzzword, and I would say it is still being the buzzword for organizations who are looking at digitization, especially in the automation arena. But now, when we think about beyond RPA, what is beyond RPA? As Gartner says, it's called hyperautomation. So we are mainly going to discuss about that in today's topic, as we see most of our audience could be interested in it, as that is the way forward for entities who are looking forward to digitization, end-to-end digitization of their entity. And now, coming to us, let's see how are we an appropriate host for this topic today. So we, KGISL, we've been handling automation for over a decade now, regardless of the technologies used. We've been in the automation world for over a decade. And specific to RPA, we've been there almost half a decade now. And our association with UiPath is really strong. We are proud to say that we are a diamond partner in India with UiPath, and we are gold partner with UiPath and the rest of the APAC. Okay, so there we go. Let me quickly walk you through the agenda and we'll jump right into the discussion, right? Okay. So first, I will quickly introduce people who have joined us today to give us some insight into useful information of where we are heading, how we are heading towards, and beyond RPA and things like that. And during panel discussion, we will be hearing some success stories from the customer representatives who've joined us today. And we've got, a representative from UiPath, the leader in the automation world, and he will help us understand how UiPath is evolving beyond RPA as an end-to-end automation platform. And also, how do entities prepare themselves for this expansion, and how could IT partners like us handhold them on this journey? So we've got people from our end also to talk about it. And then we'll have some time for a Q&A session as well. So jumping right into the conversation now. So let me quickly introduce the participants from today. As I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, we couldn't have Mr. Mark Ian Paquet with us today because of the typhoon in Philippines. And we've got Ms. Siupeng Lo with us, who's the head of digital transformation with IOI Properties. And Ms. Lo Siupeng is the head of digital transformations, and she brings in more than 18 years of experience in implementing various IT projects and initiatives in line with the digital transformation roadmap of her entity, and to meet the changing business and market requirements and assist to improve operational efficiency. And we've got Thomas Gesinski with us today. He's the RPA pre-sales manager from UiPath Malaysia. Welcome Thomas on board, and welcome Ms. Siupeng on board. And Thomas is a seasoned RPA and process automation pre-sales consultant. He's gained extensive experience with robotic process automation, especially with SAP accounts payable and P2P process automation stuff, and business process improvement, while working as a consultant and pre-sales person for companies such as Redsoft, Kofax, and UiPath. And he spent many years automating processes for shared service centers across Asia Pacific and China to understand automation objectives, means, and value drivers. And last but not the least, we've got Mr. Murugesh Jayaraj, Director of Center of Excellence of Intelligent Automation Practice Group from KGISL. And we can proudly say he's been our Director of Technology for over a decade now, and he has also been now converted into a Director of Center of Excellence for the Intelligent Automation Group ever since the practice has been formed. So he's taken over that role with us. Okay, before we dive right into the discussion, right, let me also quickly let you know about posting your questions for the Q&A session. So please post your questions for the Q&A session using the Q&A option, which is available in the menu bar. You can see the menu bar when you mouse over the screen, right? So you will see a Q&A option there. Please feel free to start posting your questions whenever you feel like, and we'll take it up during the Q&A session. All right, then let's get into the discussion right away. So Ms. Yuping, can you hear me? Okay. So I think she's got some technical glitch. Let's quickly listen from Murugesh and Thomas on on their understanding and the way forward, right? As I was discussing. So Murugesh, let me start off with you. Can you please help us understand the journey of RPA so far? Like, I mean, being the director of Center of Excellence, you have implemented projects, automation projects using RPA technology for various clients of ours. Can you please give our audience an insight into how this journey has been so far for us?
Yeah, yes, Amanya. So we have started our RPA operations early in the year 2017. The initiative was kickstarted late 2016, and we got mainstream in 2017. And then on, like our journey towards RPA was very successful. In fact, like our partnership with UiPath was showing multifold increase in our both in our revenues as well as our customer expectation, meeting our customer expectations. So we have gained a lot of customer insights, and a lot of customers in 5 different countries are using our automations today. So our IAG practice as such has over 200 plus people today, and we have successfully implemented projects across 5 countries. And I would say, like, it's a successful journey so far.
Great to hear that, Murugesh. So I see Ms. Yuping, she's gotten over her technical glitch and she's with us now. Hi, Ms. Yuping.
Hi, can you hear me? Sorry about that. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Hello, Ms. Yuping. Sorry, can you please speak a little louder? Sorry, your voice is very feeble.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Not yet. I would say slightly louder, please.
Okay. Now it's better?
Yep, slightly better. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, Ms. Yuping, thank you for joining us today. And you would have, as far as I understand, you would have successfully got a few processes automated by now, right? So coming to the maintenance and support part of it, we understand some of our clients prefer to have a bot admin on site or something like that, while some find it easier to subscribe to support services with SLAs in a traditional way, maybe from offshore or something like that. So what do you see as a suitable model for ongoing support in your case? And what was the criteria that made you take that decision? Can you please tell us about that?
Okay. First of all, we have successfully completed our RPA projects for our properties, right? And we have just gone live less than a month. All right. So talking about this maintenance and support, the model that I'm looking for is, of course, this project is new to us, and these processes and technologies is new to us. We still require the support from the vendor side. We are looking into the offshore support and the coaching from the vendor, so that in case we have any issues or any helps, we can still refer back to them. All right. We do not require the on-site support or assistance because we think that first of all is because of the this COVID pandemic, and also we also think that the online the offshore support should be sufficient enough for us, and also because of this tools is very flexible, and also we can pick up the knowledge from there ourselves.
That's great to know. Thanks, Ms. Yupeng. You know, I'm sure that would have given some insight to the audience who've joined us today as well. And hi, Thomas. So, you know, I would like to, you know, leverage your presence today, and I thought it would be great for our audience also to learn more about how you see UiPath evolving as an automation platform beyond RPA now. I mean, you know, we really don't mind taking you time to explain this to us, Thomas, mainly because that seems to be the interest of the, you know, topics today for the audience. So please take your time, and we would like to listen from you about how UiPath is evolving as an automation platform beyond RPA.
Thank you very much, Manya. That's a really good question. So I'll start with saying good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's joined us today. And I like to use some visual aids to help with my story here. So if you don't mind, I'll just very briefly share my screen and hopefully use some of the slides that I prepared for today. I will be able to show it. Just a quick check, because I'm getting an occasional message here that my network quality isn't doing so well. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Very good. So speaking of growing beyond RPA, it's good to understand where our customers start. Most of them will start with a very simple setup. They will buy Studio, and they will buy our attended robots. This setup is, like I said, very simple, but it is very good to, first of all, get a management buy-in, get a better understanding of what RPA is capable of, and also it is very good because, well, it is rather cheap to implement. Of course, this kind of setup is powerful from day one. Robots put together with developer who can automate a variety of use cases can achieve great results. And this is where we actually have no problem with our customers starting this way, because we know that projects, thanks to humble beginnings, yet powerful results, will very quickly get management buy-in. But if you take a look at what I'm showing right now, this is what we call a UiPath core. There is a studio where you build your automation. There's a robot that executes those automations. And eventually, most of our customers nowadays use Orchestrator to build more manageable and more robust automations. But this is just the beginning. This is something that, like I said, is serving a certain purpose, getting a management buy-in and proving the concept. And if you take a look at the entire UiPath Enterprise Automation Suite, you'll notice that we have built beyond this stage. You see, of course, you have your RPA in place, you have your robots automating a few of your use cases, results are impressive, management is happy, and management is coming back saying, hey, I want you to build more. I want our company to automate more. And this is where certain challenges start. Because you see, most of the time, our customers will pick use cases that are easiest to automate with RPA. And that makes definitely a lot of sense. Those quick wins, low-hanging fruits are there for you to grab, but eventually you will have to venture into more challenging territories, more complex use cases, more complex processes involving more complex interactions between users and robots. So what we observe in the market is, first of all, a quite significant adoption of document understanding. Document understanding is a component that we have built into our platform. And in the past, in order to build processes that required extraction of data from a variety of documents and processing of this data required third-party OCR solutions, third-party document understanding solutions. But now all of this is built into UiPath, and our customers are more courageous and more confident venturing into automation of use cases that require a lot more data extraction from a variety of documents generated internally or received from third parties. So document understanding is there. It's literally drag and drop to get involved. But you see, managers who sponsor automation initiatives, they like to see results. So what happens is, quite frequently, those managers come back and say, hey, we want to see how are we doing in terms of automation. Have we achieved operational excellence? Are we actually getting back the money we put into automation? That's why on the right-hand side, we have our measurement component called UiPath Insights. Integrated analytics is catching up very significantly because this shows you your results. You know, you're doing something with automation, and Insights is showing you how well you're doing it and how much further automation potential you have there. But the tricky part is, okay, how do we identify processes that we want to automate? We already have RPA, we already have document understanding, but you know that there is quite a lot of challenge understanding or picking a process that is next best candidate for automation. So this is where we also step in and facilitate this, and lots of our customers showing quite a lot of interest to have a proper discovery process in place. You see, organizations have dozens, hundreds, or sometimes even thousands of processes, smaller, medium-sized, bigger ones, and we want to make sure that this organization can, first of all, create very quickly an inventory of this process, of these processes, and they can quickly analyze those processes, come back with a bunch of metrics, and simply provide an easy to understand way to decide, to make an educated decision what to automate next.
Hi, Thomas. Oh. Thomas, we are unable to hear you, but yes, we can see there's some issue with the microphone. All right, then maybe we'll give him some time to come back with that. And let me quickly.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, Thomas.
Sorry, I think that's a problem with my camera because my microphone is built into my camera, so I had to disconnect my camera, and now I'm using a microphone that's built into.
That's all right. That's all right. No, please continue. Thank you.
So going back to, I hopefully didn't lose you for a major part of my presentation, but I was talking about discovery stage, and when I mentioned that our customers are able to make an educated decisions what to automate next challenge and next direction they go for is making sure that they can very efficiently exchange work between robots and users. You know, there are lots of processes that require human handing over some work to the robot doing some work and then passing it back to the user. This is where UiPath Action Center combined with UiPath apps step in. Thanks to these two components, we can have a very seamless and smooth transition of work between people and robots. And of course, thanks to this, we can complete even long processes, sometimes spanning across multiple days, much faster. So Emmanuel, back to you. Hopefully this gave us and gave our participants some idea how our customers push it beyond RPA.
Oh, thank you so much, Thomas. It indeed, it did. Yes. This is what we were expecting to hear from you, which gave a clear insight, I believe, to our audience also, in terms of how UiPath, how they can utilize UiPath beyond RPA and how UiPath is evolving beyond that. Okay. So now, Murugesh, coming to you, right? So how do you see we KGISL, how are we prepared to meet the hyperautomation journey beyond RPA? I mean, please also share a hyperautomation use case if possible for the benefit of our audience today.
Sure, Amanya. Yeah, so I would say we are very much prepared in every aspect. Being a UiPath preferred partner, we work with them closely with the UiPath team in every region where we have operations, and this has always helped us in gaining insider knowledge about every UiPath product or feature that's being launched. So we make sure that we are well prepared in advance to cater to our customer needs immediately whenever the product is generally available or the new feature is generally available. So hyperautomation is no different from this. Again, like we at KGISL have started implementing complex use cases involving intelligent OCR and other third-party integrations via API well ahead in this arena. So even before it was termed hyperautomation, in fact, I remember the days that back in 2017, where intelligent automation was not talked about much, right? So our team won the UiPath hackathon event conducted in Bangalore, where one of our use cases in the hackathon was an intelligent machine learning model that we built on Azure Cloud. The model is capable of, it interacts with the UiPath bot and then helps to interpret the variants of hundreds of vehicle spare part names. So basically in the insurance industry, if you see whenever there is a claim, and an accident in the motor claims area, so the insurance, the OEMs will submit estimates for the claim damage, right? So each of those OEMs will be using different ERP software or billing software or invoicing software, wherein the spare part names might differ from each of them. So our machine learning model will be able to interpret those spare part names and then map it against the ERP software that our customer has, and then it will be able to convert those and then do the data entry without manual intervention. So this is one model that we hosted on Azure, and it was successful. So we have established a very strong COE for our practice in KGISL. So we have a centralized COE, and it works well for our structure at least. And our COE is responsible to carry all the knowledge that we have gained through our implementations over these years, right? And the knowledge is transferred or replicated in all our other implementations. And our team members get to access to their knowledge, to these knowledge and information easily also. So when it comes to hyperautomation use cases, we have good experience in implementing intelligent OCR based use cases. We have worked with ABI. We have worked with UiPath document understanding, and even Marvel.ai is our in-house developed product where it helps in terms of reading both structured and unstructured document. So that's another document processing tool that we have. So our team has expertise in all of these three different tools. In fact, like we have even implemented intelligent OCR based processes in Malaysia and Singapore as well. And we have a team who specializes in BPM software as well within our IAG practice, and K2 BPM is one such software like where we have implemented real-time use cases. And whenever we get opportunity to integrate our RPA processes with BPM processes, we will be able to do it easily today. So we do have experience in integrating RPA processes with chatbots, leading chatbot providers like even including IBM Conversation Service or it is Google Dialogflow, we will be able to do that today. So all these are all examples of hyperautomation use cases where your RPA or implementation is not simply limited to the RPA process, but it integrates with many other technologies in and around RPA, so that like you can do end-to-end process automation. And today, like we on the UiPath platform, we have a lot of new products coming in, like Action Center, UiPath Action Center, where it helps us to bring in the human factor inside the automation process, like so human in the loop we call it. So when we wanted to design a long running process and do an end-to-end automation, human can intervene in between and then perform some manual tasks, and then the robot continues the rest of the task. Right, so that way we use a variety of tools here to implement hyperautomation for our customers, and the use cases are endless. Like whatever I have mentioned here is a very small piece, but it's up to the customer and their budget and other factors on the level of automation that they have to bring into their organization.
Understand, Murugesh. Thank you so much for sharing this, and that definitely helps, helps us understand how ready, we are, and some of those use cases, how people can think around, for hyperautomation scenarios. And now, Ms. Yuping, so given the scope for automation beyond RPA, right, as we just heard from Thomas and Muru as well, so using additional modules like document understanding, task mining, process mining, UiPath apps and Action Center, etc. in UiPath and other tools as well. So how would you assess your readiness for utilizing these additional modules or tools effectively and progress in the digitization journey beyond RPA?
In fact, actually, thanks for Murugesh for sharing the use cases to us. In fact, we are also looking into this automations hub, because after the first project we have completed, we gave a very positive feedback, and also a lot of requests coming in from the users, because they realize the benefits and the advantages of having these robots to help them on their daily routines processes. So in fact, the users will have more time to do their analysis. So we are looking into the automations hub. And in fact, we are trying to set up all these processes and to capture the information. And we also have our own workflow processes, whereby we have already integrated the robots, our processes, with our middleware, our workflow, to help to extend the process to minimize the human interventions. And we are in the process of assessing on the functionality of the RPA. Hope that we can apply to our marketing departments, because we have a lot of interactions with our prospect and purchasers. And in fact, we would like to explore more on this AI functionality available in the RPA, this program, in order to help us to improve our processes. Yeah.
That's good to know, Ms. Yuping, and all the best with that. Okay, so coming to you, Thomas, we would also like to pick your brain here. So what would be your advice for an organization who's looking to expand beyond RPA? So, we would like to hear from you on your perspective.
Okay, hopefully you can hear me now.
Yes, we can. We can hear you loud and clear, Thomas. Yeah.
There's so many things going, not our way. But okay, since you can hear me, then again, I'll try to share a little bit with you. I think we've observed some sort of adoption mechanism that our customers and our partners implemented or discovered sort of independently of our approach itself. We call it automation flywheel. And I want to very briefly explain what it means and how this concept takes you beyond automation, beyond RPA, and actually gets a lot more people involved into automating processes than only, let's say, a few developers within a center of excellence or within a vendor service, right? And if you take a look at a reality of a regular company that's implementing RPA-based automation, they will usually come up with some idea. This idea is fairly simple at the beginning because there is not much confidence at the initial stage. And in step one, it's either center of excellence or our partners that build automation for their customers, right? So this is, for example, where KGI steps in, gets a better understanding of what's going on in the organization, helps to identify the right process, and eventually builds this process. So now automation is available to employees. Employee now starts using this automation. And of course, you know this quite well, results are practically all the time impressive and welcomed by employees. And employees get comfortable with RPA, and then they start coming back with ideas. They come back saying, hey, we believe that we can use the same automation concept to automate process B, process C, process D, and maybe you take a look at that. So this idea now needs to be properly collected, and this is where UiPath, for example, Automation Hub steps in, and this is where management of automation pipeline takes place. But now we have this employee submit idea, new automation is built, new automation is made available to employees, and eventually this whole cycle becomes self-propelling. But there is a first breakthrough moment that happens at this stage. Sometimes our customers realize that, okay, we have already automated those company-wide processes, but we would like to take it to another stage or another level and empower our employees to actually seek those small processes they can automate on their own. Something that is just too small to be automated on enterprise level, but it can be automated by employee itself and simply make its life easier. So this is where UiPath Studio X steps in, as our employees are now building their own automations. So they submit this code. This code is, of course, properly governed to make sure that the employee won't hurt himself, especially at the beginning. And this is, again, where either Center of Excellence or partner helps to develop more automations. And now we have even bigger wheel here, spanning across a lot more processes than the initial stage. But this, of course, translates into greater customer satisfaction if service is offered faster. This is something that translates into employee happiness because employees are doing less manual and repetitive work. Productivity goes up, and automation is applied to more and more processes. But of course, like I said, we have our customers covered, we have our partners covered with products that facilitate every step of automation flywheel growth. Remember, we talked about Studio. We have now additional component or additional flavor of Studio that automates and facilitates software testing and application testing. We can use UiPath Orchestrator combined with unattended robots, which is considered a little bit more mature way of automating processes. Finally, we can get into use cases that involve what Murugesh said, Action Center, where people get involved, and even chatbots can be built on the same platform in order to support internal employees as well as our customers. Of course, Automation Hub and Task Capture, these two tools help you manage those ideas and help you build documentation or create documentation about existing processes very, very quickly. Then Studio X can help, can be embraced by employees to build some personal automations with Automation Hub to manage it, and eventually Orchestrator to handle it for entire organization. Remember what I mentioned before? We have a document understanding platform that can be very easily adopted, plus insights that can help you show performance of entire ecosystem and drive further automation. So this automation flywheel concept, supported by tools and methodology we provide and our partners implement efficiently, is a way to turn an organization into fully automated organization, not using RPA only, but going beyond RPA itself. Back
Great.
to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Thomas. Thank you for detailing, on how an organization could leverage UiPath platform beyond, who was willing to move beyond RPA. Thank you for that. And now coming to you, Muru, in the interest of our audience who would actually like to try doing stuff themselves, right? So how would you say you can handhold such a client who's willing to establish a center of excellence for themselves internally for automation?
Yeah. Yes, Amanya. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. One of our service offering in our practice group is itself COE enablement, Center of Excellence enablement for our customers. And COE is important for an organization to scale their RPA, definitely. So our COE enablement service as such helps customers in enabling seamless deployment and accelerated implementation of automation. So this will definitely play a major role in their RPA overall success, right? In other words, it would be a game changer for them if they implement the COE for themselves. Our teams have worked with various companies of all sizes and people with varying levels of automation experience to automate their business processes. We have helped them discover new automation ideas and also maximize their return on investment. So if you see, we have our standard COE implementation framework, which is basically, we call it as a 5-pillar structured framework as such. So we have a detailed procedure for how we implement the COE for a customer, which is a successful model that we see. And the scope will include right from setting up RPA infrastructure, like procuring licenses, design and deploy the architecture for them, including installing and configuring the various environments for the customer, like development, UAT, and production. So then we provide consultancy services, like say we guide the customer to establish and implement their RPA governance structure, within their organization. The next one will be enabling their RPA team, right, within their organization. So we conduct training sessions or workshops for all of them, all of the stakeholders in various roles, from developer to BA to solution architect. We are also an official training partner for UiPath. And so we have conducted 100+ training sessions in 3 years now across 5 countries. So after that, we also provide them process discovery and assessment service, where we help the customers to create their pipeline for automation through the process discovery process. And then finally guide them with best practices and standards, guide them on recommendations for selection of appropriate tools for them, not only the RPA related, but also the project management, version controlling. So all the other ecosystem of products that they need to use to implement a successful RPA COE. And last but not least, we also finally handhold them when they kickstart their developments by co-development activities. That means when I say co-developing of a few use cases, our team, KGISL developers, will work along with the COE developers of our customer to enable them to automate their first few of their use cases. So then like their customer team, like the developers, they gain the experience with our developers, and then they start continuing to develop on their own. So this is this is the entire framework that I explained to you about. So this is how we enable our customers to set up their COE.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you for getting into the details of it, Muru. I'm sure some of the audience today would have benefited from that. Okay, now coming back to you, Ms. Yupeng, maybe we'll do one or two more questions in the discussion, and we'll start taking up questions from the Q&A questions that's posted by the audience, right? So once again, I remind people, please post your questions using the Q&A provision available in the menu bar when you mouse over your screen. Okay then. So Ms. Yupeng, now, looking at the locations aspects of where the implementation team works from, right? So we understand, just like any other IT related services, right? Automation also is successfully being implemented from offshore as opposed to having the entire team of engineers to be on site. So I would say relatively more during this COVID lockdown though, and people have surprisingly realized that there's not much difference. In fact, getting the same stuff done from offshore. So in fact, equivalent to working from home, that's how they feel. Also comes along with commercial benefits without compromising on the security aspects, I would say. So this is my view. Like obviously, like my question to you is, we would like to hear your view on that, and how do you see this in general, and do you think it would be applicable for IOI properties?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, when we implement this project, is for Malaysia, KL. We are in the CMCO, whereby and now we are even encourage our employee to work from home. So, but one of the we see the way how we can interact with the users when we run this project. The biggest challenges that we are facing is we need to know the processes that the users are experienced. So we need to document down all these informations and understand the sequencing on the process, so that we can program it using the RPA, right? But thanks to the one of the features available in RPA, whereby is the automation hub, whereby users are able to utilize these features and demonstrated the step, the detail step, and all these informations are documented automatically. And then using that, we are able to understand. Of course, during the understanding stage and discovery stage, there will be a lot of discussions. We are using the Zoom as well as the team meeting to understand and to clarify the necessary. That's why this is really help us to complete our project. Okay. Moving forward, looking at the trend, we would say that definitely we do not require all this on-site team to get involved during the project. Offsite team also, they are able to look at it. We are able to proceed with this approach day after, and even the cost, of course, will be much more effective. Will be cheaper compared to the on-site. But going through with that, we feel that distance will not be an issue to us anymore. Seems like everyone is like connecting, right?
That's true. That's true, Ms. Yupeng. Yeah. Thank you for shedding your sharing your view on that. That's definitely good to hear from you. Okay, then I think I'll take a few questions from the audience as well. So Muru, I think you can take up this question. So we have a question here regarding the training that we provide, to our clients. So the question is, for training our internal staff on RPA, does my staff need to have a deep technical background? That's the question. So maybe Muru, can you please help answer that?
Yes, sure, Amnia. So as we see here in UiPath, so we don't need a deep technical knowledge for the developers to start their development, because like we have two versions also. Like say UiPath Studio X is designed for citizen developers, where even business users without technical knowledge will be able to use the tool effectively to automate their simple tasks, day-to-day tasks. And the UiPath Studio helps in a more professional development, wherein like you can use it for complex processes automation, right? So both of these tools together will empower any organization to perform their automation, and that is how like that is what Thomas has explained in the flywheel concept here, right? So again, when we talk about the core developers, it is always helpful when we have someone like with some programming knowledge for the complex process development, but that is not a necessity though. Like so, simple processes or simple tasks can be automated even without any programming knowledge or any programming background. But when it comes to complex end-to-end process development and integration of your processes, like with other systems, like say I talked about chatbot integration, I talked about intelligent OCR tool integration, I talked about BPM software integration. So these, when it comes to that level of automation, then definitely with a developer with some programming background can do a better job in those areas.
Thank you, Muru. Yeah, that's definitely helpful, and I trust it was helpful for the person who's raised the question as well. And okay, maybe looking into maybe we can take up a couple of more questions here. So, okay, one of our audience is asking, if the team is offshore, then how do you maintain the governance and project timeline? I think as the implementation partner, I think Muru, if we take up the question again, would be helpful here, please.
Yeah, so the project governance and the timeline, usually like as long as we have a person for on-site coordination, it is much more easier for us to manage the timeline and coordinate with the customer. So we prefer, whenever there is a chance for us to have a person on-site as a coordinator, we prefer to have the on-site coordinator. So it helps in a lot of solving a lot of logistic issues in terms of time management and the time zone differences, right? So also we also take care that like our team here in offshore will work with matching to the customer's time zone as well. So basically, like we are in touch with the customer all through the day, like the 8 hours of working time, right? So that's an advantage that we see. So we make sure like our development team's shift is also aligned to the customer's shift. So that is one important benefit that we give to a customer. Then on a timeline perspective, so because we have good tools today to connect to our customers' infrastructure through VPN or through many other different tools that are available today, like including like video sharing and remoting systems. We are able to log into the customer's systems and then do the automation with all security aspects taken care and in place. So there is no security issues as well, right? There is no issues as such. So we are able to manage the timeline. We are able to provide the same quality to the customer as we did before when we did the development on site. And we are also able to be flexible enough for our employees also. Like say if the employee is working in a different time zone, then he can always like adapt to the customer's holiday leave policy, everything, right? So we are flexible enough in offering that benefit to our employee, and he is happy as well. So this way, we make sure like there is no delay, there is no like a decrease in quality. So when we do it from offshore, and meetings happen online, like so all our teams and collaboration tools that we use today to run our business. So these tools also help in a great way for our teams to get in touch with the customers and conduct meetings. And then in fact, there is no difference, I would say, even after bringing in a lot of development to our offshore premises here. And that's even a surprise to us, because we thought initially, before this COVID pandemic, that it would not be possible for us to develop an RPA project from offshore. But later we realized that with the proper tools and with proper team and with the proper measurements taken care, we would be able to deliver the same level of quality delivery to the customer even from offshore now.
Got you. Thanks, Muru. So I think my takeaway from your answer is, so depending on various criteria, you would probably be able to advise on which model is suitable for them, right? Maybe offshore, on-site, or a hybrid, and things like that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. And so I think we've got enough time for maybe one or two more questions. So I'll quickly move on to the next question. Okay, one of our audience says, the main challenge we face in identifying more use cases or processes to automate, how are others doing this to expand RPA internally? I think, Thomas, would you like to, highlight and just reiterate on that, please, at a high level, maybe? So on the challenge that they are facing in identifying more use cases?
Sure. I'll be happy to. So I agree, this is not an easy thing, and usually the best results we get if we manage to involve employees, people who actually perform those processes on a daily basis. And what it means is, people working, I don't know, accounting, in procurement, in all these departments, if not educated about RPA, about how robots work, how robots' involvement or implementation gonna affect their job, they frequently fear automation. And that's why it's quite important, if we want to get their cooperation, is to build awareness. Have a proper internal campaign run either by HR or by even have a partner to help with it, and explain what robots do and how robots doing some of this work that is normally done by users, how will affect the future of the employees. If this campaign is successful and this campaign is really helps employees to conquer their fears or uncertainty, you will see that it will be quite easy actually to convince them to submit their own ideas. We have one partner, one prospect that we're working with. They started with our UiPath Automation Hub after receiving some help from us to run a pretty massive campaign about automation impact. And last time I checked their Automation Hub, they have around 200 ideas submitted by employees. Even though the first month there was barely anyone touching this. So putting this, making it pretty, I would say, short is educate people, make them understand benefits of robots, make sure they have a clear understanding and confidence in their future, even if robot comes in place, and encourage them to submit those ideas to you. You'll receive a lot of, not very usable use cases, but at the same time, you will receive a lot of good ones. So start with your employees. If this won't work, we have other tools, but I always recommend start with people's initiative.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Thomas. And maybe I think we're almost there. Just one last question, maybe Muru, you can take this up quickly. So one of our audience is asking, I'm keen to know more about how KGISL can help my company in assessing the viability and potential for hyperautomation, and also scaling up from RPA. And finally, they've also asked for contact details, which I'll ping them. But can you please address the first part of the question, please, for assessing the viability and potential for hyperautomation? How can we help them?
Yep, sure, Amnia. So we always have to start with identifying the automation ideas. So for which we can conduct a process discovery session for them, and then as a result of the process discovery session, we will have a list of processes, a backlog of processes which the customers have submitted, the users and the customers have submitted, and then we would be able to assess those processes to identify what is the scope and how complex are these processes, and how what are the benefits that we get out by automating these processes. And then we look at there can be hundreds of ideas coming in, but then we have to do a prioritization at the end of the assessment. We will do the process prioritization in choosing those processes which will have higher benefits and low in complexity. So there can be different quadrants that these processes falls into. And after that, we also see the feasibility of automation. So there can be certain processes where the usage of additional tools would be required. Say for example, so when we come across a use case where we need to use intelligent OCR, then we would also analyze which specific OCR tool will properly fit for that particular use case. We may get a use case where we need to integrate with an online website where a chatbot is already in place, or we may also need to create a new chatbot for them and then integrate it with a back office RPA robot. So we assess all those things, and then we identify the viability of implementation of these use cases. And always we also take into account the cost versus the benefit. So we see how important the process is for the business, and how much cost that the customer can spend in automating that process, and how much is the benefit that they can get out of it by automating that specific process. So that's how we proceed with this. That's how we help customers in identifying those processes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Murugesh. Thank you for that. And I think we're bang on time now, maybe even a minute or two over. So thank you everyone for joining us and spending the time with us. Please feel free to reach to us after this, and we'll be more than happy to come on board and help you there. Thank you everyone once again for joining this morning. Stay safe, and see you next time then.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Amania.
Pleasure.